Howdy folks, the subject of tonight's video is why it's stupid to try to overtax rich people. Folks, it's the end of December and everybody's talking about the fiscal cliff, and the topic on everybody's mind is, wow, we gotta tax the rich and make the rich pay their fair share. Well, it sounds good. There's a lot of people for that until they look at it. However, the actual facts and common sense don't lead to the same conclusion that we seem to be being stampeded towards. First of all, folks, the rich people in this country are paying most of the taxes. From the numbers that they're putting out there, about 48% of the people in this country either don't pay any taxes at all or get more from the government than they pay in. If there's anybody that's not paying their fair share, and believe me, there's a lot of people there that can't, it's the lower 48%, not the top 1%. Secondly, being rich is not sinful or wrong. Just because someone's rich doesn't mean they're dishonest, doesn't mean they got it through nefarious means. It may just mean they're good at something or had good luck or whatever. The reason people are rich and stay rich is because they're good at business. They know how to handle money and to make money. We're going to talk about some of the things that they do and some of the basic principles of business and economy, so that instead of just playing, demagoguery and politics and making everybody mad at everybody else, we can make some real progress towards creating jobs and getting the economy going again. To begin a business, somebody has to front the startup money, the capital, the money it takes to buy or rent the building, get the machines, buy the materials, and pay the employees. Now, we've seen from recent history, do you remember Solyndra? Government bureaucrats just have no clue how to hand out money to start businesses or help businesses keep going. And if you think about it, it really makes sense as to why that is. Because if they were good at business, if they understood how business works and how to make a successful business go, they wouldn't be government employees and bureaucrats, they would be successful businessmen. So to get a business started, you have to have business people, folks who know how to handle money, have money, and be able to go out and find someone or start themselves a new business. Now, when a business is going, there are three entities that it has to pay, and it pays them in a specific order. Once a business is up and going, once a business is profitable, it has to pay its investors. Okay, there's a very simple reason for this. If the investors who put their money in the business are not getting a return on their money, they're going to pull their money out of the business and put it somewhere where they can get a return. Which means if the business you're trying to start up cannot pay better than a savings account, the investors are not going to put money in it. There has to be an opportunity for profit. The second people that a business has to pay is the vendors. Because once you've got the building, the machine, and the machines, you got to have the material you need to make your product. The third people in line to get paid are the employees. I know a lot of employees say, well, if it wasn't for us, you wouldn't have a business, and that's true. But if you didn't have the investors first and the vendors second, you wouldn't need employees either. So this is how a business works. As the profits come in, as a business gets going and becomes successful, you have to pay the investors, then you pay the vendors, then you pay the employees. Now the government takes their cut out of all of this, and we're going to talk about that a little bit more in just a minute. Okay, now let's talk about taxes, the government's cut out of everything. Well, first of all, business profits that go back to the investors are taxed in what's called capital gains tax. And as everybody noticed, as some of the big investors on TV said, capital gains are taxed at a lower rate than normal income. There's a very good, logical, and fair reason for that. Capital gains income is the second or third time that money has been taxed. Okay, somebody gets rich. They either inherit their money, they win it in the lottery, they earn it, they become successful. However, they get their money. And it's taxed. And then they have their money, and they can either put it in a big swimming pool in the bottom of their mansion like Scrooge McDuck, or they can try to invest it somewhere. Now, if the rich people do not invest their money, no other businesses get made, no other employees are hired, the economy doesn't grow. So when this rich person takes their money and they find somebody that has a business idea, they say, I would like to invest in you. And they pass the money to the entrepreneur and the business gets started. And then it gets successful. Now, the investment money starts the business, buildings are bought, vendors are contacted, stuff is purchased, employees are hired, and the business is successful and it makes money. That business will pay taxes on their profits. Okay? The profits keep building up, the profits keep building up. Pretty soon the investors want some of their money back. They want a return on their investment. So then some of the profits that were left over after the business pays their taxes go back to the investors. And then they're now taxed as capital gains. Which, like I say, depending on how you want to look at it, that money's been taxed 2 or 3 times by the time it gets back to the original investor. Now, we've already in this country gone through a period where we tried to overtax rich people. Back in the Great Depression, after the Great Depression, FDR, they came up with a tax that said anybody can make up to $100,000. All income earned above $100,000 was taxed at 95%. Ronald Reagan in his movies, John Wayne in his movies, there were other people, every amount of income that they made, direct income, salaried, not investment income, was taxed at 95%. Now, Ronald Reagan, there for a while, was making $100,000 per movie. Guess how many movies he made in a year? Well, he only made one. Because why work twice as hard for an extra $5,000? That makes sense. Any one of us would do the same thing. And people say, well, what's wrong with that? Well, what's wrong with that is the fact that not everybody on those movies got paid $100,000 per movie. For every movie that Ronald Reagan didn't make because of the excessive taxes made it stupid for him to do so, it meant a director didn't get hired, screenwriters didn't get hired, other actors didn't get hired, the grips, the sound man, the cameraman, all these people that go along with the production of a movie didn't get hired. That meant that there wasn't a movie to show downtown at the theater. So the downtown theater didn't hire the local kids to sell the popcorn and the soda pop and to take the tickets. All of that economic activity did not happen because we were too busy penalizing rich people for being successful. The same thing is happening now. You hear in the news all the time about all the capital that's just sitting there not being sent out. Well, why is the capital not being invested in business? Because these are business people. They know how business works. And business in America right now simply is not a good investment. Why is that? Because it's being taxed to death. Look at Hobby Lobby. Look at the things going on there. Look at Obamacare. All the extra taxes in there. An extra tax on medical equipment. Who does that help? Nobody. And now with the fiscal cliff here, we're talking about, well, we've got to raise taxes on rich people, and whether it's 250,000 or 400,000 or a million or whatever, we've got to raise taxes on these people, when we know that even if all the money comes in that they expect, it's only going to operate the government for 8 days. 8 days. What's it going to cost us? It's going to kill the economy. If rich people cannot make money investing their money in businesses in the United States, they won't do it. We don't need to keep cutting the pie in smaller slices. What we need to do is bake a bigger pie. You don't do that by penalizing the people who create the jobs. Government does not create jobs. Rich people with money who have an expectation of making profit create jobs. This is Deacon Parsons saying, love your maker, love your mate, and do what's right because it's right, and devil take the hindmost.